So in the last video, we further tested the Mac Plus, made sure that it was working. As you saw, and you can see now, test passed. We also tested the Apple Service Parts new in box, new old stock mouse, as well as the extended keyboard that I picked up used. Yellowed, dirtied, so it's going to need a cleaning. It's going to need some retrobriting and a little bit of just TLC. And that's what you're going to see in this video here. Also, it should be noted that the majority of this video is going to be just teardown and cleaning, just montages basically. So for those of you who are keyboard aficionados, stay tuned. I think it came out all right. Here's the bottom half for comparison, which did not need any retrobriting. They're pretty much spot on. The only thing that I was not able to do is get rid of this stupid lock here. There's teeth gripping on from above and below, and it's just really difficult without potentially breaking these tabs to get that out. So I don't know if there's a special tool for it or not. I'm hoping that there's an easy way to do so. I haven't been able to find much info on it online, unfortunately, so I'm not sure what to make of it. But that's fine. For now, we don't need to worry about that. Here's the actual important part of the keyboard here. Everything got decent cleaning. There's one little issue that I'll mention in a little bit when I get to that point. But for now, I'm going to go ahead and get this as put together as I can so that I can start getting these keycaps back on. And of course, now comes the fun part of reattaching every single keycap, because, well, I have to. And on top of that, we're going to do it as a montage because that's what we usually do in these situations. So, trying to find a good starter key. I may have noticed that I did not do the spacebar yet. That's because my dumbass dropped the spring and stepped on it. I have a couple of options that I can use to replace it. One, it's one of these springs that I got to repair a C64 keyboard. It's not quite as, I don't know, rigid or whatever you want to say. But I also have this spring here, which is a lot more rigid, but definitely not as dense as this one. So I'm not sure which one is more accurate. That would make it pretty stiff. This one I feel might not make it stiff enough. But that's what I've got. I also have a bunch of old C64 springs still, but most of them are rusted and just not in good shape, so I can't really use those. So I have to choose between this or this. Now, maybe I could double up on these, if I can find the rest of them, that is. But I think I'll go with this one for now. And then if I don't like it, I'll swap it out to the other one. Okay. Got it. It's a little stiff compared to the rest of the keys because of that spring, but I just don't think this one's going to have enough tension on it. If I can find another one, like I said, I can try to double up on them and see if that helps. Ultimately, I'll have to just get a replacement for this one if it really comes down to it. We'll see. But there we go. A refurbished Apple M0110A keyboard. Pretty clean if I do say so myself. Now, of course, the other issue is I only have this cord, which I showed off before. I did redo the ends so that they are matching, basically just straight through. And unfortunately, it's just black. I don't have a gray one or even a beige one to use. So, and well, that's basically it for the keyboard. Let's go ahead. I'll show you some footage of the results of the retrobriting of the rear and the front half of the shell, and then we'll move on with reassembly. So here's the back half. As you can see, I turned the lights on a little bit here, and it's just, it came out really well. It wasn't perfect, that's for sure, especially some of the spots that were kind of gouged and some areas where I kind of had to really scrub to get rid of some of the marks and everything. It had an impact on the retrobrite process. So it's not perfect, but it looks great to me. So, and then I will switch to the front, and you see I already have the CRT reattached. That's because I kind of cheated and started reassembling everything. So next, if you follow me on Twitter, you'll know that I had a little bit of an oops moment. So I was reassembling everything. I was getting ready to attach the anode cup here. And when I went to do so, well, I don't know if it's going to, wow, that's really washed out. Turn that down a bit. That's better. So see what the problem is? One side of it is missing. It broke off when I tried to reattach the clip itself. I'm not sure if I broke it because I was careless. I don't know if it was already just like stressed and it was going to break no matter what. I'm not sure, but obviously it won't really work too well because of the fact that it needs to have a good grip inside to make the connection. This little wire here, there's some solder on there. This is inserted here. There's a screw, so it helps the power flow through, and that's it. I tried to use a paper clip, as others have attempted to use to make the repair, and it's not going to really work well because it's not springy enough. Actually, this isn't it. I don't have it anyway, but anyway, it wasn't springy enough. So what I did instead is I grabbed, I had this piece of metal wiring from an older one of these. This is used to clean out a desoldering gun. And so I clipped it because it's kind of like a springy material, but unfortunately it's just too difficult to work with. It would have been perfect otherwise if I could have bent everything into place properly. Unfortunately, that didn't work. Totally random. I was brushing my teeth and I had this epiphany. I have, everyone knows what a tube of toothpaste looks like, and a lot of people just squeeze the toothpaste from the middle and all that. I hate that. So I like to roll it up, and then I have a clip that I put on the end, one of these binder clips just to keep it in place. And that got me thinking, these things, they're kind of springy, right? If I could get it in there, it might work. So I went and grabbed 2 different sizes. I grabbed the smallest one I had and then the second one. Turns out this is the better fit. And if you don't believe me, what did I do with the clip? Look at the profile. It's almost perfect. In fact, if I undo this little loop section here, it would be a perfect match. So I went and tried to cut one of these, and I ended up breaking my angled flush cutters. I don't know what kind of metal this actually is, but it is insanely strong. Finally went out, got myself some snips, and was finally, after several attempts, make something very janky like this here. As you can see, it's not perfect, but springy. And check that out. That bad boy's not going anywhere. So I went ahead, I obviously drilled the hole through, scraped out some of the paint so that it can conduct, and it is conductive. And well, we're going to see if that works. If it does, great. If it doesn't, then, like I said, I've got to order flyback anyway to get that part from, so no loss. Now, by the way, this is not a DIY. This is not a tutorial. This could be incredibly stupid of me. This could end up blowing up in my face, so don't try this at home. Of course, the biggest question is this going to fit in here? Because again, the profile isn't completely perfect. You can see this has kind of like almost like a cross section, whereas this, I'm just not able to get it that way. In fact, I went through like 5 of these binder clips all together before I could get a good enough cut to fashion something from it. So that's going to be the biggest question, is will this actually fit in here? And I may need to finesse it, aka force it in. Yeah, let me play with this for a bit. All right, it's in there as much as I can get it. I'm hoping that by securing it with the screw that's supposed to go in, that will help. So let me try that. Oddly enough, the screw is not, I don't think it's made from iron or anything like that, because it does not stick to the end of this magnetic bit. So now, is that going to work? Let's see. Turn up the ISO a bit to make it a little bit brighter. Might be a little washed out, but not quite. It's almost a perfect seal, but not quite. So I'm going to probably have to fidget with it a little bit, but that's okay. So let me do that. All right, well, I think that's as good as it's going to get. Hopefully. Yeah, well, let me finish reassembling everything. I've got to get the driver installed. I've got to get all the rest of the cables and connections and everything hooked up and go from there. So I'll go ahead and I'll just show that I already reinstalled the drive cage and reattached the cables. All of the cables, the power cables and everything, the flyback cable and all of that fun stuff. Everything is ready to go. I just have to get the rear shielding for the logic board installed, slide the rear housing back on, reattach the screws, which it's been so long that I forgot. I don't have all of the screws for the chassis. The top 2 that are typically found in the handle were not there. I've got this one, and then these 2 here. That's it. So hopefully it'll be enough to hold it together. I mean, it should be, especially with this screw here in the battery compartment. It's probably better that I don't put these in anyway, just because of the fact that they're such a pain in the butt to get to. I do have a long Torx bit to reach them, but we'll see. I may steal them from the Mac SE that I have, at least for now. We'll see how I go about that. So I'm going to use a little bit of Kapton tape just to hold the shield in place, because I know it can be a pain in the butt sometimes with it kind of sliding out. And of course, now we've come full circle, in fact, back to the intro footage that I did for my contribution to Marcintosh. And leave it at that because, well, you've already seen that, but I still want to do a proper conclusion to it. So the next video will be a final, I don't know what you want to call it, tour. You know, we'll go over everything, look over all the work that I did, try out a few games, maybe some other software, things like that, test it out in general, and possibly a surprise. But that's about it for this particular video. If you guys have any comments, questions, suggestions, etc., go ahead and leave them down in the comments below. Otherwise, thanks all for watching. I will catch you later.